fun to watch for the moves. They're not hard to find. Strong arm tactics so loud, only themselves in mind. Every player has dreams of making ORCA fame. They'll live on in the minds of those who get in their way. ORCAs all say, don't come for me. Midners boots, they're so vain. As we set up the podcast webcam, the PROD is here to talk ORCA game. ORCA King CK with delusions of fame. In this LRG world, he's the apex predator. Danny and Jules in tow, always ready to go. Now it's time for the show. They're the apex predators.
Hello and welcome to the ORCA Pod, the Apex Predators of Australian Survivor LRG podcasting. Welcome to the final episode of our coverage of the bronze medalist, the third best season as voted by the people some many months ago in the 11 seasons that existed to date. Some say it should have been number one. Some say obviously, some said it shouldn't, but it was a fantastic season. I really enjoyed our coverage. I think we've had a fantastic series of interviews. The interview with the three redemption returning players, the first boots, David, Chiara, and Holly, was brilliant. Despite equally, the interview with Sal was particularly fantastic. It was great to hear about all of the strategy and all of the game that he had planned. He had planned, and the game he played, it was he played an excellent game, which I think was infinitely able to be recognized even more so once he had the chance to really break it down with me as to the sort of moves he was making. It's a very, very strong game, and he should be rightly proud of it. The tea party was elite as always. This cast offered up such a high quality group of potential tea party guests. A lot of elite characters and elite personalities, and those that came on, Casper, Josh, and Rachel, really delivered in the discussion with Annabelle, and of course, my two co-hosts, Jules and Danny, we did a significant deep dive on the season. So we have some important news tonight. Obviously, we'll be crowning a new ORCA, which is, of course, the most important thing that could possibly happen to the 18 people that were on this cast. One of them will receive an incredible achievement in their life, something to put on their tombstone, something to put on their resume, something to put anywhere they list their accomplishments. This should be pride of place and top of the table. It will be a special moment for one, a disappointing, devastating circumstance for the rest. Maybe not the rest, because there's a bunch of people that don't want it, don't care about it, and don't think they should really get something like this. So there's like a group of them, but that group are going to be devastated if they are not the particular one who receives the award. I'll also be announcing the next season that we'll be covering. Why don't I announce it now? Now, hold up in the comments. There's not many of you people here live. So, you're listening to this later on your podcast, on your way to work, and you're like, oh, CK's going to announce what's number one and what's number two. And look, just hold the vitriol, right? It was a democratic election. It's not rigged. But the second best season that we will be covering, I think they won't start it in a week or two, is Canberra Survivor 2, The Ultimate Sacrifice, which obviously means that Playing with Fire is number one. And I don't write the rules. I didn't vote for it. I can show the receipts. I can show the data. It's all legitimate. And, that is the season we'll be covering last. It's the gold medalist. Is it the gold medalist in production? Absolutely not. Is it the gold medalist in story? Maybe. Is it the gold medalist in elite characters? Absolutely. And that's presumably what you voted for. And I appreciate your support in that vote. But we will get to that in due course. We will be doing Ultimate Sacrifice in a week or two, starting the deep dive. But tonight, we are rounding out our coverage of the third best season. And I'll be bringing in the co-hosts, the creators, the best hosts in the entire world of LRGs, not just Australia, of the entire world, as voted on by a bunch of faceless names that didn't give Australians any other awards, but they recognized we existed with this award. Let me bring in the two greatest hosts that ever existed in LRGs, Kyle and Bryan. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. That's like the best intro we've ever had.
Well, now you're legit. You are the...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Were you surprised? Let's talk a little bit about this award, Host of the Year. Were you surprised by this? Because, like, I was watching it live, and I really felt there was a lot of Australian erasure in just the general presentation. Not that we weren't there, and obviously there were a lot of nominees. We were nominated. Many people from Backyard 5 were nominated, but it just seemed to think like a lot of people knew anything about us. And so we were sort of making up the numbers. So it was great to see you win an award. And you guys are great hosts. But, like, honestly, you should have won it for editing, not hosts. But, like, how did you win it?
We were hoping for that.
Yeah. That's the one we really wanted. Yeah. And we agree. As we were going, we were like, oh, I don't really think people know who we are, or they haven't really watched, or there was a bit of Australian erasure. So when that popped up, we were like, oh shit, sure, we'll take it. We were really hoping that the cast would have gotten something as well, like someone got villain or hero or cast of the year or something like that. We would have hoped for something for them as well, but we'll take what we get. Puts us on the map a little.
I literally verbally exclaimed wow when you guys won. I was actually personally excited to see it happen for you, but also as a representative for our entire community, that our community matters. And I get it. Like, I get it. All those people in America probably know each other and they're familiar with their own seasons and they've watched them all and they haven't watched the amazing products that we're putting out down here. I get that. I think that's understandable. So when that happened, I felt really excited and proud for you guys, but I think as a representative for everyone in the community.
Oh, thanks, EK.
It was, we also we put in a reel for all of the categories that we were nominated for. And we were almost with the host one, we were like, we're going to do one for this. Because we kind of thought, like, we think that season 4 was probably our better showing as hosts. Just like moments that we had with the cast members, like the banter between us. And we actually took, like, it was a conscious decision going into 5 that we wanted to step back a little. We didn't want it to be so much about us. We're like, this is about the players.
Yeah.
And so then,
then we win host of the year.
Maybe that's why you were host of the year.
We stood back. It wasn't about us.
Maybe that's exactly right, Brian. Maybe, so many of these people that make these shows, their own bombastic personalities. I'm putting all the work in. I'm going to give myself my moments on screen. Like, why not? I'm doing everything for it anyway. And maybe it was the fact that you chose to take that step back. Not that you're overpowering on your prior seasons by any means, but to take that step, though you did give yourself an episode title once, Brian. That you
what was it?
Which one was it? I'm not sure.
In Exile.
Yeah.
Why don't we get
Girl
one?
Likes her rice.
Yeah.
Girl likes her rice.
Why not? Yeah.
Girl likes her rice. Yeah, sure.
It's not all about the hosts, and I get that. And I think maybe that's why you were given the award, but really well-deserved, but you should have got editing. I haven't watched any of these American seasons, and to really comment on this, I have to go watch them. But I can't imagine anything was edited better than Backyard 5.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them all either, so I don't know.
You got to watch this Glass House one that swept everything. That's apparently the thing. I must say, in one final comment about the quality of, it was funny because when I was reviewing this season, and we can get on to season 4 now, which also has amazing production. Like, I think 5 is a next step up, but 4 is elite in every single way as well. When we were watching the season, recapping it for the purposes of the podcast, I decided that I might try and watch Survivor New Zealand for the purposes of understanding this Lisa character that's going to be on Australia versus the World. And I thought, well, she's not on season 1, but I'll watch. There's only 2 seasons, so I might as well watch season 1 and then go season 2. And the production quality of New Zealand season 1 is so inferior to the product we've not put out for season 5, but also season 4 on what have been an actual budget. It's insane the sort of production that you guys hit on this season.
Season 4?
Yeah. Obviously, season 5 is amazing. But even let's just forget about season 5. We know it's great. Let's talk about season 4. Because this production's also elite.
Yeah. I think it probably surprised us. With 5, I think we were we planned more and had more resources. In season 1, we really only have season 4, we only really have one good camera. We had one guy on that camera who worked really fucking hard, and like one boom pole person who worked really hard. Yeah. So when we got some of the footage, we were like, whoa, this is good. Makes it look like we've got like 8 of these things.
And we kind of didn't know how to use that resource either going into it. So like Joel was the videographer who rocked up with his like decent equipment, and we just kind of like threw him in the mix with everyone else. So when we were watching the footage back, and I think I'd like edited an early segment of the Yellow Camp, and it's like someone's confessional, and then it cuts to Valentina's, and Bryan was just like, "Whoa, this is Valentina the movie."
Was this person heavily involved in the production of the opening sequence, which is absolutely elite? Like, if there's one thing that 4 was better than 5, it was that opening sequence, because it was unbelievable how good it was.
The walking over the hill.
The walking over the hill, but the way you guys are standing there, and then you've got the you're showing it with drone footage of the different things. You're standing there, then the first boots are there, then they're gone, then you do the countdown, and then they all come running over the hill. Like, it's so fantastically shot.
Yeah. Such a last minute addition. We probably we came up with the hill idea really last minute, to the point where we were messaging everyone. Like, everyone had already been cast, and we were messaging everyone being like, we have an idea and we want to see if everyone's keen to do it. And we actually decided that we would only need half of the cast to be behind the hill and have them coming over. And then the way that it would shoot is like other people would catch up. Because we weren't sure if everyone would want to do it or feel capable of doing it. Mostly Julie. Yeah, we weren't sure if Julie would want to do it. But literally everyone was like, fuck yeah, sign me up. Like, so then we had everyone there. It was great. And it was so funny because when we were like, 18 people, 39 hours, they're all just like crouched behind the hill, ready to go. I always remember Dan looking like,
Dan loves that.
Honestly, it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks before we filmed that we decided that.
One take?
No.
It was
2 or 3, I think.
So they ran over the hill a couple of times?
Like retakes of like starting from on top of the hill and just getting them to do the descent again. Because it's kind of like we've got so many cameras on different people. It's like to move back, and it's like you're getting crew in the way. So we need to sort of rearrange that and then get them to walk again.
I love that commitment, because it's, you're on time crunch. Everyone who's been part of one of these programs, who's made one or been a participant in one, crewed or play, it's a massive time crunch going on. And, doing reshoots of big sequences is not a good use of your daylight in the sense of the urgency of the time. But in terms of the product you produce, absolutely worth every minute. I understand you actually had to get, the first Boots revealed this in our pod with them, that you had to get them back out in order to get that shot of them. Because when you were editing it, did you think, there's a shot we could get here that we don't have?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like 6 months later that close up of them is actually like,
I think you can tell Holly has bangs in it, and then she doesn't.
I did not realize. These are the sort of things that only the editors realize, because you're focused on every frame. The viewers don't see this.
No.
The now I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you actually properly sequestered all of the cast for this season. They were in their own personal rooms, which generally, obviously, it's the ideal, but generally most seasons of production don't have the ability to do something like that. Was that? Well, we'll talk about the location because it's obviously part of the location. This location is brilliant. Now, we've talked about the Exile location, which was found at the last minute due to being able to repeat the season 2 location, and Exile is what it is. This season, though, this is when you truly decided to leave the backyard behind. When was that a big decision? Like, that's our roots. That's part of, we are Backyard Survivor, or are we happy with that now just to be a name because we want to make a better production and we need a better site for that?
Yeah, I think in terms of Backyard, I think we like the name. We just quickly went to like, it's a big backyard. It's Australian Outback. It's all our backyard. Like whatever.
Yeah, we didn't care that much.
Yeah, it was more like we need something bigger than what we've been working with. Because season 3, like everything was sort of going to plan, to schedule, and it still was just like too much for that space. So we knew we needed to go to multiple day, which means you need to be able to accommodate all these people. And I don't know whose house or backyard can achieve that. So then we started looking at these campsites that we could move into. And I'm glad that on camera, the location is great. From the crew perspective, not their favorite. It was, the design of it is like really long. So it's like Tribal Council's like here and Redemption's like all the way out here. And like moving between places was just like taking forever during production.
Yeah. We got wooed by Redemption because we were looking for a location that had that really distinct setting. And so when we saw like what was on the other side of that hill, we were like, this is gold. This is exactly what we want. And I feel like we may have overlooked some of the practicality of the like actual location in terms of the moving back and forth.
But the desolate nature of it was perfect. And then the other parts, you had very nice, lush green areas, and the parts that looked like deserts. But none of the tribe areas looked particularly lovely. But the actual challenge locations were great, and the Redemption was particularly brutal. But you did manage, presumably, some of that by having Bryan, you being stationed at the Redemption for parts of it.
I mean, not really. I would be like in the game, and then I'd be like, oh, shit, I got a challenge, and I would like bolt and rock up, and like us having conversations where I was like, I'm not going to be able to participate in this challenge. That wasn't planned for season 4.
Okay.
The idea was that we would both do both parts. But it just wasn't working. With 5, we planned it that way, because we knew what had happened on 4. But on 4, like me having to go to that first Redemption challenge by myself, not the plan.
That's funny.
Just the running back and forth was awful.
I think what we talked about, and I'd always thought that you guys and having 2 hosts, it was the perfect opportunity to have someone at one site and another running the other challenges and make the day work. From a production point of view, it's so interesting that wasn't the plan. Something that appears to have not also gone to plan is, and I know this because I have essentially every buff that's been created in this community, and you were wearing a Redemption buff, and I wasn't aware that Redemption buffs existed because no one is wearing them on the season. Do you want to tell? They look beautiful, by the way. Do you want to tell us that story?
No, we really wanted to have buffs on the season, but it's just one of those things when you're organizing it that it just drops off on your priorities, right? And it involves, having to liaise with the people who are designing them and get like feedback from that. So I think we were like in the process of making them happen, right?
Yeah. I think so. It just became too much. it became too much, and we didn't end up doing them. So, but we were
coveted crew buff.
We were just like so enamored with this cast, and everyone worked so hard, and it was like physically very demanding. And when we did the watch party, so after every backyard season, we all come back together and we literally watch the season from beginning to end in a day. We gave everyone on the cast a buff of their color for the original tribe, which was really nice. And all the crew were kind of sitting there like, because they were like, oh, they're so cool. And then we handed out crew ones for everyone as well. So it was more, we started them as a bit of a gift.
Was there merge buffs as well, or did you only order them?
No,
did they not
there
arrive
was merge buffs. The green one. When we also released the season, we had a what's it called?
Like GoFundMe.
Like a GoFundMe, and if you donated to it, you got one of these as like a perk.
Indiegogo.
Yep. Did those that go to the merge get a merge buff?
No, you had to buy it.
All right. Brutal. And was the golden buff pioneered in this season and we just never saw it? Or was the golden buff for the first time in 5?
No, we at the end of the watch party, we awarded Sal a golden buff.
There was a golden buff.
Sal did end up getting one, but it wasn't on the show. It wasn't what they were playing for. We told them at the viewing party that going forward, everyone would win a golden buff. And then we presented Sal with the first one, and Jay was also there. So we gave Jay hers at that time as well.
This is an amazing reconceptualization, because when you announced on 5 that Haley was going to win the coveted golden buff, we're like, what? Coveted by who? No one even knows this thing exists. But obviously in the backyard community, it was well known that it existed. But as a viewer, it was like, this is the first time we've ever heard of this thing. Now it's, of course, supremely coveted. But at the time, as a viewer, it was confusing.
Yeah. Nope, they've all been given one, I believe.
Yeah. They've all got one? All the winners?
They've all retroactively been given one.
Going back to the sequestering, how long was everyone individually sequestered for?
The first boots were there longer because we got them to arrive really early on when there was going to be minimal crew as well. So we were like, we're so extra with this stuff. Like, we wanted it to be a surprise for the crew as well. So like, only like 2 people from the crew knew, because
Ben and Rachel.
Yeah, because we needed them to like be the ones shepherding them and do their like interview, their confessional at the start of the day. So they were the only ones that knew, and they were just like locked in a room for like maybe 2 hours for them. Yeah,
and oh my god, Chiara had to go to the bathroom at one point, and I was the one that had to like help her get there. And we snuck out and went around the back of the building and did some like Mission Impossible shit. Like, we were like, go to try and get to the bathroom. It was ridiculous.
And people would just be like, oh, Chiara's here. Like,
why didn't you just pretend that they were there to crew?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, like, people would have probably believed it for Holly. Oh, well, I guess Chiara wouldn't have really actually have had a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess, like, I don't know. Then if the conversations start happening with them, and
but also it was worth it because people had no idea they were even on set. So when they popped up around the hill, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about how early did you decide that you wanted to do a returnee season with the first boots, and how confident were you that they would all want to come back and play? Because if only 2 of them came, do you still do the idea?
Ooh. I can't remember where we landed with that. We did discuss like what happens if we only get 2 of them. Certainly if it was only 1, then no.
Yeah, I think there was like, from memory. Okay, so the answer to the first question was we always had first boots on the table. Like, that was always something that we had talked about as team captains. I think we had said that if like Holly and Chiara, fine. David and Holly, fine. We were like, the real random combination would be David and Chiara. like that, like if we did 2 tribes, that would feel like, well, where's Holly? But Holly was the one who was always a yes. Like she was always in. So we weren't that concerned about it. I think with Chiara, I don't want to speak for her. I think if you'd asked her after the season filmed, but before she watched season 3, she probably would have said no. But I think when she watched it back, it wasn't as bad as it felt like. And then I think she was more in. David was always a yes, but David was probably the one that we hadn't talked to in the longest amount of time, like, you know, because the most amount of time had gone past. So he was a bit of a, we're not sure if he'd still be into this, especially like when he turned up, he was invited a week before by Calvin, like rocked up to this thing. He had no idea what he was doing, and then got voted out first. We're not sure how he is.
He wasn't one of your friends. He was like Calvin's friend.
No, he lived with Calvin before.
So it's not a guy that you continue to see like all the time over the years. No.
We saw him a couple times after the season 1, but we hadn't really seen him since. So we weren't sure. But as soon as we asked him, didn't we ask him and he was on holiday and he didn't respond for ages? And we were like, oh, he doesn't want to do it. And then I followed up 2 weeks later and he's like, oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, I'm in.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, there was always the potential for redemption. I assume that was part of the thinking about the name of the season and everything you're doing with the Redemption Island. And there was also the chance for not so much of a redemption. You know, it's an emotional moment. We've talked about it a number of times on this coverage, Bryan, where you're sending Holly down that pathway. Did you conceive that this was a likely possibility? Did you know, as a storyteller, did you think, well, you know, this is horrible, but this is pretty good, like television, or was it just this is horrible?
No, and in that moment, I don't think there was genuinely any part of us that were like, well, at least it's great TV. Like we didn't feel like that in the moment. We knew that it was a possibility, but also our thing was like really kind of trying to structure that first episode to have lots of different chances. You know, the first Boot Idol is there. And I think
let's talk about the first.
Chiara's
let's talk about the first.
Yeah.
Then we'll go into drafting.
So I think like, so when Chiara got voted out, Holly was on set, and Holly and Chiara actually had a chat. Sorry, in season 3, Holly and Chiara, like Holly actually kind of like supported Chiara a little bit. So they had a bond, but they didn't know David. So I feel like if Chiara was on the bottom, Holly would have said, let's give it to Chiara. If Chiara was going to tribal, Holly would have said, give it to Chiara. And if I feel like they would have given it to each other. I feel like the fact that it's David, he doesn't have as much of a bond with them. But also, they all got to pick their tribes. So that was another thing where
we were hopeful they would be able to, you know, because the first time around they get voted out and they haven't chosen those people. It's like, it's either been random or we put them on that tribe. So we're like, we'll give them this opportunity to find who are the people that are going to protect you from being first one out again. You know, that's the hope. That's the design intention.
And then even in the first challenge, we kind of did it in little parts. So it's just like, there's not like one person who's likely to like mess it up for everyone, you know? But
we talked about the drafting and with the 3 of them, and if they were making deliberate decisions about people that would work with them. And Chiara very much said that, you know, she doesn't draft on paper the strongest looking tribe. Obviously, it ends up being a very strong tribe in actual challenges, but on paper, it doesn't look super strong. And David has a probably stronger looking tribe, but he also was making decisions based on who he thought would work with him. And Holly drafts a strong tribe, but one that is full of cutthroat players, and she's not based it on who would work with her. She's based it on tribe strength alone. And it was interesting how that dynamic came back to haunt her. Whereas Chiara's group, which I think was probably the most focused on unity, showed extreme unity for the entire season.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate for Holly because, like, yes, they're all cutthroat players, but only in retrospect, right? Like, she doesn't know that in the morning. Like, Josh and Rachel and Michael, they're all like very lovely, charming people. So I imagine, even though she is kind of picking on tribe strength, I imagine by that point she's probably thinking that they're all lovely people who will keep her around. Yeah.
And her first choice was Matt C, who obviously was there as a fill-in, but she knew from commentary he'd put on YouTube and believed him to be a very genuine, nice guy. And I've met Matt C in real life a number of occasions, and he is a very genuine, nice, trustworthy guy. But he also didn't really blink at all about voting her out when that's the way the numbers were going. Like, he was never getting voted out that first vote. He and Rachel could have swung it a different way, but he was happy to go with that move. So you just don't know what people are going to be like when they cross the white line into the
I wouldn't say he was happy with it. I think it's just that he had his allies, and that's the direction it was going. I think he was the one that struggled the most with that move. Yeah, that first vote.
And off camera,
was always there.
Was
right there to be voted.
Yeah, he's right there. Off camera, Holly asked me, "Did Matt C vote for me as well?" So that's obviously who she felt the best with, and that's who I think she felt the most hurt by in the moment.
The first idol, the one that was eventually awarded to the Blue Tribe when they won the challenge, had to, of course, be reassigned because no one could figure out your intricate escape room style puzzles with maps and bananas. When you come up with these ideas, do you think, because it's a bit of a different thing, this is your first, I think, attempt at a bit more of the scavenger hunt style idols and advantages, noting that in Exile, most of it was given at Exile, so it's just handed to you, and or there was some things hidden that were not particularly intentionally hidden, very, very difficultly. For example, there's a clue to the one they get in the swap, and they find it immediately once they have the note, like it's instant. And of course, you then went to fire with the directions that confused everybody. Did you think that this is the sort of thing that people were going to focus on? And we'll also, I think we can talk to the X idol as well, which people struggled to locate. Though I think that one's less on you and more on them. Did you think that people would figure out that puzzle, or you thought it'd be fun from a viewing perspective?
We did. Like, we were looking at this cast knowing, like, there are so many big Survivor fans, people who want to go in and play a big game here, that we felt are just going to like hit the ground running, and putting them in that one world breakfast, we're like, people are going to see through this. We haven't sequestered you for an hour to then say, now I'll just mingle for an hour for no reason. Like, and so many people said it, like, you don't get as many of it like on the show because it becomes repetitive. But so many of those confessionals are like, oh, I probably should have been looking for something at that breakfast. Oh, there definitely would have been something there. But they've just gone in and gone to chatting, which was also part of it. But this idea of like, keep an eye on your surroundings and, try and find any hints of anything there. Like, we were concerned that too many people would be getting onto it, and it would be this like scrum, like attacking the idol under the picnic blanket. That's what we were scared about, not that no one would find it.
But we also knew that, like, it's not, I don't know, it's not in a crazy hard place to find. So we were like,
clues aside.
Yeah, clues aside, it's not that hard to find. And you see people kind of like, I think you see Michael having a look, or someone like that. So we knew that there's the potential that someone could find it without having any idea that there were clues, and we would probably have just edited the clues out.
Yeah.
You know, and that would be fine for us.
But this cast, despite what you thought on pre-interviews, we're not capable of finding advantages, let alone ones with elaborate scavenger hunts. Of course, there's the extremely obvious advantage sitting underneath the options for.
Yes.
Was that the memory challenge, or was it the charades? But it was sitting there like so obviously available. And you made it by the first one wasn't super obvious, but by the end it was so. And they must have seen. I guess because you were changing
up there. Yeah, because I remember when I watched the footage back, because I didn't get to see how far. I was like, "Come on, guys!"
Yeah.
And then at one point, Fu runs back once Fiona's gone. I don't know, once someone's gone, and I'm like, "Okay, she's gonna get it."
Yeah.
And then no.
I was doing the same thing with the idol. Like each time they left camp, I was going to those well idols and like knocking it out a little more to make it more visible. So like each round, it's like, okay, a bit more.
Yeah.
I think the issue that caused, and why no one figured that out though, is they didn't appreciate the piece of wood was the idol. Like when people eventually realized the wood had been dislodged, they assumed that it was behind the wood. And the note was the paperwork was inserted into the wood. Was that right?
Yeah.
So they should be a bit more eagle-eyed about that. But otherwise, I understand the assumption.
Yeah. In retrospect, I wish we had glued the "congratulations, you found a hidden immunity idol" onto the bottom of the block.
Yes.
Yeah, instead of sticking it in.
Yeah, which would be more like the James Clement idols on Survivor China, which is where the inspo comes from, right? Where it's like this bit of wood is actually the idol.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But you live anywhere.
Yeah. Well, you didn't. You didn't go back to that well. You went in a different approach in the future. But I imagine everyone was trying to rip the bars off the whatever wells you had in season 5 after that. The one well, everyone was there just trying to pull it apart. I imagine.
Well, it still had a block missing, so it didn't make the card. But it's like, I guess, a secret scene that never got released is Kate and Haley go to the well, and Kate's like, "Oh, the block's missing from season 4."
Yeah,
and then
I was still there. That's fun.
Yeah. It's part of the lore. The idol's gone.
Yeah.
Speaking of secret scenes, it was revealed. Who was it? By Salvador or someone that you guys are going to release? Oh no, it might have been by Josh.
Probably Josh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who revealed it. So that you're going to release all of the secret scenes that were paywalled for the season shortly. Right. Or have they already been released?
They're already released. You can find them on Facebook.
You can see them all. You can go to the YouTube page, and there's a bunch of new playlists that weren't visible before. If you want extra season 4 content, it's all there.
Are there in this content, is there more people reading their letters? Because the letters from home was such a fantastic idea. It seems
great. I
like,
wasn't sure how that was going to go with you.
No, we love it. Everyone loves it. Everyone thinks everyone should do it now, but we can't because it's just ripping you guys off. But it seems like it was going to be like a bit of a lame kitsch concept because people are away for like one day. But it really worked because for anyone who's played these games, even if it's a day, it is a heightened emotional state. You don't know who you can trust for real. You've got to suspect everyone. And you add in the fact that getting a letter from home is a survivor, moment that everyone goes on these LRGs that are fans to have those survivor moments. That's one of them. And equally, it's not common, I don't believe, and I guess some people's families and loved ones will be different, to sit around writing entire handwritten letters to people that you love about what you love about them. People just don't do that, and maybe we all should do that more, but we don't. So to get that letter that someone took the time to send you that, why I love you, this way you're great, you can do it, whatever support they put in, is going to be like a special moment, right? It really worked.
Yeah, and this was the first time that this was really the first group of people where we didn't know most of them. And something that really kind of like came through is like we had a lot of parents for the first time, like Sal and Michael, and we had a lot of we had a lot of people who we felt like were different to the sort of people that we had before, which are like, just people in their 20s having a good time. So we were like, maybe this is the one to do it, where it's like, some of these letters are going to have like quite a lot of depth to them, I imagine, particularly Michael. I was really hoping Michael would get to this part because, he's had a baby not long before the season, and, it was a big thing for him to like, leave her behind. So, yeah.
I think what also made the bit work was Calvin's letter to Matt.
Yeah.
Like it's loving, it's serious, it's emotional, and then you've got this whole funny segment with it as well that I think really like lightens the mood or makes it really fun.
And I'm sure Josh has talked about this, but Josh's loved one's letter was from Mark, and he doesn't buy it because he's like, fuck Mark, I don't need Mark, I'm going to buy this advantage. But it would have been great for that letter to have been on the show and then Mark come in next season.
He did get the baby yogurt, much to his disappointment. But you probably don't know this, Brian, but when Mark won ORCA of the season, I had Josh come on and read out Mark's letter live.
Oh, great.
He still had it, and he came and read it out.
That's fantastic.
Congratulations. Yeah. So, that was a cool one. And those sort of synergies between the backyard episodes and seasons, I think, are really fantastic. All of this different LRGs have those from time to time. And I think, like we talked about with Canberra, that basically everyone could do, you could do a blood versus water of all returnees because there's so many different like family connections. I know you got your little Bulldog dynasty, but seriously, they have like, in between all the seasons, there's so many boyfriends, girlfriends, sisters, brothers, parents. They could do a lot, including with the hosts as well. Like we're saying that the host should run a season. This was our idea. that like Dan could play with Andrew and Liv would play with Jeremy, and they'd be they'd be the captains. Anyway, but you guys have your connective moments, and you do the great thing about putting up the crew picture. Which I think was in Exile a little bit, but you really went further. And I love those moments. Those moments are great for people that are fans of the whole series.
Yeah, that's why we do them. The feedback that we got from them from 2 and 3 was just so positive. And the more seasons that we do, the more people that were involved. And, it's for the crew, it's like such a big thing as well. It's nice for them to have like their little moment in the show as well. And I feel like season 4 as well is the first time when we were like, Survivor doesn't have to be as serious. Like we can also be really we can be funny with it. And so like being able to lean into those moments also helps us kind of like, I guess, create that comedy.
Yeah, I think you guys have hit the right level of like comedy in it. You also have the right level of seriousness, but as you say, it's a silly little game that we're all playing in our backyard or in a farm or a park or a camp over a weekend. Like it's supposed to be about having fun, and sometimes that gets lost because when you're in the game, it feels very serious. But you're right, and I think you guys have done a good job of finding that balance in your product. I guess going into the merge. We talked about when we caught up for Exile, how everything really went wrong from a production sense in Exile to make an interesting game. In that the advantages just end up in all the wrong places. And accordingly, the Power Alliance power their way to the end. And it's not, you can't do anything about it. That was looking like it was going to happen here. But fortunately, you had scheduled a double tribal. And you randomly assigned the teams, and you must have been licking your lips when they drew out as they did to make for 2 fantastic tribal councils that shook up the game.
Well, like not initially, because Michael's a sitting duck.
Yes.
So it's only after he wins immunity that we're like,
but
and
like watching it, that he needs to win it. You're just like, but for him. For the season, it's just like,
yeah. And I was standing closest to him, and he was like jelly arms in that challenge.
Yeah,
he was so good. And I think he goes up against Valentina, right?
the talent beast.
Yeah. But I also, it's hard. This is a season where like I was rooting for everyone. So it was like, it's hard, you know, Michael wins, but then Valentina's in danger, you know, I think she's in that faction.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was your first season where you decided to cut the jury at the merge. Appreciate it was also your first 2-day season. Was that a difficult decision for you? I feel it works better from a game sense, but that's the way you'd always had it. You guys like to be inclusive of everyone for the whole experience. It does I think make pre-merges feel less relevant to the overall experience, both in the viewing and in the real time. But that's also Survivor. But equally, we're not running a game for $1 million. Sometimes you're running this as a passion. So was it a hard decision, or did you just think with the 2 days it's the way we should go?
It's kind of twofold, right? Yeah. It's like, it's a shame for people to say, sorry, you're not going to make the jury. But we also felt like we're removing that obligation from people to stay throughout an entire extra day after they've been voted out pre-merge, that some of them may not want to do that.
Yeah. And like it ends up as a bit of a blessing, I think, because I don't think Holly would want to have stayed until Sunday night to vote for the winner of the season.
Yeah.
You know, like it just, the 2-day was basically non-negotiable. So it was like, once we're going to 2 days, do we want everyone to feel like they have to stick around for that whole 2 days? Probably not.
I'm actually a bit bewildered by the logistics of these days, having participated in organizing one of these myself. You've got 2 days only, not 3 days. You've got an hour-ish of sequestering. You've got an hour breakfast. You've got an 18-person cast. You've got redemption challenges. You've got not an 18 cast, but with one person coming back in. So it's effectively a 19-person cast. How did you make this fit into these 2 days? Like most people who produce these seasons would struggle to fit. They struggle to work out the logistics of a 16-person season in 2 days.
I mean, you should see the schedule. It's very detailed, with everything down to 5-minute blocks. Not that anything on season 4 ran to that schedule.
The schedule's got
What times did we finish?
Too late.
I don't remember.
I mean, you can tell just by episode 4 or 5. Like we hit dark when we've still got another whole episode to film that day. That was not the plan. Similarly, like the water challenges were scheduled to happen during the heat of the day, where they were like throwing the water on the other tribe. We're like, they're going to love it because it's going to be 40 degrees and then they're going to get water. But then that doesn't happen until like 6 or 7 when the sun's setting and it's getting cooler. It's like, that would have been really nice if it had happened at the scheduled time.
Oh, and like logistically as well for the editing, it's like it's getting dark and then we have to flash back to when it's light, and like that wasn't meant to happen.
For redemption. So it was a lot fitting all of that in. And I mean, we make changes again going into 5, right? We go back to 16 players. So that makes it a bit easier. A smaller space to navigate. We make it a bit easier with the redemption challenges as well. So it was a very ambitious undertaking with everything we tried to throw into season 4.
But it really did come off, I feel.
Yeah, it was such an epic end to day 1 where like we had been working so hard and everything had gone like good, but behind schedule. And then everyone had been so busy all throughout the day. And then all of a sudden, the only thing left to do was the last redemption challenge. And everyone was knackered. And so I just don't know if we've ever had another moment like that on a backyard set where like everyone is there and everyone is watching those 3 do the challenge. And like everyone has their favorite. And it was just crazy epic. And like when Valentina drops, it was like that in real life. Like everyone, you can even hear it on the camera. Everyone is clapping from the jury, from the audience. It was so cool.
It's super exciting. Sorry, I've been just getting prepped for the awards, which we need to hand out. Do you guys have anything else, final comments or stories about the season before we hand out the awards that was Backyard Survivor Redemption?
No.
I don't know, like probably nothing that we haven't already said, but just love this cast so much. Love the stories that we were able to tell throughout it. We went in knowing that we wanted to try and focus a bit more on that personal side, on telling people's stories. By having the returnees, we're already getting to do that. By filming Redemption, that was also part of it. It's like, what does it feel like after you've been voted out? We get to explore that a bit more. And same with the loved one letters. It's like, let's get to know people more personally than just like they're a bunch of people playing a strategic game. Like, who are the individuals? So I'm really glad that we got to, make the season sort of about that.
Yeah, and I'm a big proponent of, you don't need to have the most strategically fluid game to have a really top tier season of Survivor. And I think Heroes versus Villains is probably like the biggest testament to that. That boot order, not actually that interesting. But it's the characters and the people and the moments, which some are gameplay, but some are not. And I feel like that's what this season does, where it's like, if you were to look at the boot order on paper, like, is it the most exciting? Maybe not. But all of the moments throughout the show are like, in my mind, like top tier backyard moments. And that's why I think it like delivers in the way that it does.
It's definitely, well, I think you're right. And I think that's why it finished third. I think, we've talked about, you guys had the most seasons in the countdown, which means, and the most quality seasons as well. And that's going to spread your votes. I love Yards Apart. Yards Apart is my number one season. And I think there's people that share that view. There's people that love this season. Whereas all the other franchises either have one season or one season that's clearly better than the others. So you guys have, don't deserve to be third, but it's just a factor of you had two in the top five. And the fact is, you have a lot of great choice. I think this is a wonderful story emotionally, and the characters are brilliant. I think it's a great piece that you have. I think it's a great example where you have Yards Apart, which I think the gameplay is exceptional. And then you have this season, Redemption, which is as a storytelling piece, there is nothing better. The emotion, the journey is brilliant. And then I think what you managed to do is combine those two things into one world, where you had both the best of both worlds in a lot of ways.
Oh, great.
Great gameplay and great stories and great characters. But I you still didn't capture I don't know if anyone captured the emotion of this season. Again, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're going to get to...
Thanks for the votes, everyone. It was great.
I've had a great time talking with you about all your seasons. And, in a way, like, when we talked about Exile, it's got its moments, like Andrew, but the rest of it isn't the best. In a lot of ways, this was your redemption, season 4.
I don't feel the way about 3 as you do, CK.
From the season that just didn't go the way maybe you wanted it to go in a lot of ways. You lost your set 2 days before. Now, the voting is very interesting. There's a lot of contenders for all the different awards. This, I think, speaks to the quality of the cast. The first question was, who was the MVP of the season? And I can tell you that 6 of the cast received votes as the MVP. Who do you think got the most votes?
I would say Chiara.
For a different answer, I'll say Salvador.
Salvador only managed to get 1 vote, which is outrageous. But you are correct that Chiara was the MVP, had the most votes, followed by Josh, and then Rachel, and then Fu. Okay, the Annabelle Award for Best Pre-Merge Boot. So that doesn't include Valentina, but includes Holly, Fiona, Julie, Ken, David, and Dan. I must say, the votes on this, as I looked at the counts over time during the month, it really ranged. Like, there was one person well out in front, then another person popped up, and then another person popped up. I'll tell you, it ended up being a tie Who do you want to you guys go try and get one person each, perhaps?
Okay, sure. I'll go Holly.
I'll go David.
Well, I'm sorry to say that the first boots were not redeemed in the voting.
Oh.
Neither of them were successful. They did receive votes, unlike Julie and Ken. Sorry, Julie and Ken. But the pair then were Fiona and Dan.
Oh, Fiona. Yeah.
Fiona and Dan. Oh, great.
Cool.
Oh, I'm happy
I'm
for them.
personally a little bit surprised about Fiona. Like, I think she had the potential to be a great character, but I don't think she really shone in the moment she had to be the star of the pre-merge. I think though she had a lot of great potential. Dan had a lot of character about him. He was an interesting character. Right. 1, 2, 3. Another question here. Which one-time player would you like to see play again? And 6 of the contestants have votes, and it's actually a 3-way tie for first.
Okay.
So the cast is loved.
I mean, there's so many people on this cast.
Yeah, I'm assuming Josh is one.
Yeah,
Josh is
Rachel.
one.
I think Rachel.
Fu,
Yes, Rachel's one.
Yeah, probably those 3: Rachel, Fu, Josh.
Fu has votes, as does Michael and Salvador, but the 3 are Josh, Rachel, and Casper. Coincidentally, the 3 people that were on the Tea Party. I tried to pick the best characters for the Tea Party, and looks like the fans agreed.
Good.
Is this season third best, too high, too low, or just right in the rankings? What do you think people said? Should it be in the top 2? Should it have been third? Should it be lower?
I think the people who voted on this would have voted that it was too low.
Yeah.
That has won, but only, that got about 56% of the vote. But 37% of the vote did say it was just right.
Okay, great.
Which is interesting, because I agree that the voters would probably be people from the backyard community. And one person from in the community thinks it's too high. I don't know who they are. They're anonymous, but they have said too high. Which is outrageous call. On a scale of 1 to 11, 1 being the best, where would you rank Sal's game compared to that of the other 10 LRG winners?
I find this hard because I haven't watched them all. I think Sal played a really strong game. So sorry, what's the best?
1.
1 is the best.
1 is the best. I'll put him in the top 4. So let's give him 4.
I was also going to say 4.
Yeah.
If I actually go to the numbers here, so 1, 2, 3. He's like 6th. I feel like this is really insane to be honest, because he's actually, and I don't think this is fair at all, the lowest ranked backyard survivor winner.
Really? Nah, I mean that's not accurate.
Well, it isn't, and of course I can't ensure that everyone that voted on the quiz for Sally, they voted on the quiz for Hal, voted on the quiz here, but I think that's I've got my own rankings, and he wouldn't be there. For me, he's probably the second best backyard. Maybe he's the best. I used to think it was Jay, but his interview really swung me about how much he really dominated the game. He did an amazing job. Whereas Jay at sometimes was out of the numbers and had to fight her way back in, which is also impressive, and you can value different things. But I think the way Sal dominated is particularly special. And now, of course, the final award, the most important award, the thing that everyone, well, not everyone, but the big characters dream to win. And, this thing's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We had our first ever live ORCA drinks in Canberra 2 weeks ago, and we awarded the first ever official Bromilow Medal, the actual medal, to Dom. We played a video package of him, and then he received his award. He was able to give a speech. He was very humbled by the award, which is, opposite of ORCA energy, but regardless, he felt so humbled, and he received the award. I also had one for Andrew, who unfortunately became ill, and so I put the effort making the video package, so I wanted to play it, and I did, and then I handed the medal to Dan instead, to sort of take on his partner's behalf. But there's the potential and of course we have ORCA drinks. I'm going to find a venue and set a date with a date set. I'm going to find a venue for October where we'll be handing out ORCA medallions to anyone that is in Perth and attends the ORCA drinks. So this thing is really getting very large, and now people are clamoring to get this award. Half the tea party was Casper and Josh fighting over the potential to win this award, while Rachel sort of sniggered in the background about the nonsense of it all. But what I can say is it did come down to Josh and Casper, and it was very, very close. I will say the other parties that ended up getting some votes for being an ORCA, if I get my spreadsheet up in the right place. So the right thing. Nope. I can remember from the top of my head. Fu and Salvador received one vote from the people, for whatever that's worth. Probably not a lot because it's a spread tally. But Fu, I think, definitely had a lot of ORCA energy and should have perhaps been higher in the ranking. But there's so many people that were up there. Dan himself received one vote. Again, I think he had the potential for strong ORCA behavior. Jake received 3 votes. Jake comes home with the award there. And then I believe Rachel also secured 3 votes. But on the highest amount of votes, one was 14 and one was 16. Now, normally this is where I get prepared to bring them in, and you're spoiled because you can see them in the green room backstage. But they were not available tonight, so I haven't been able to bring them in, sadly. But the winner of the ORCA Award, the Bromilow Medal for Backyard Survivor 4 Redemption, is Josh O'Brien. He will be delighted. He has wanted this award ever since I created the award. He has been in my DMs since I created this award going, when are you guys doing Backyard Redemption? I know it was going to be a struggle for him to not win the award when Mark's right there with his award. And despite being best friends, they're very, very competitive. And I think Mark wanted potentially the ability to lord over Josh. He had the award and Josh didn't. But nonetheless, the votes came through. It was very, very close. And I think Casper was a very, very well-deserving runner-up. But Josh has the award. I'm sure when he watches this, when he finishes his work, he will be absolutely delighted.
I'm sure he will love it. I thought you were going to announce Casper, and my first thought was like, Josh is going to spew if he doesn't get it.
He wants it so bad. I don't choose how the Congress votes. Some people felt that maybe they had to give it to him because he just wants it so much. And that could be classed as ORCA behavior in its own right. But he is joining the Congress of ORCAs, joining the Backyard Congress specifically, and joining the elite talents of Andrew, Jess, his best friend, Mark, Andrew, Mark, him, Jess, and of course, the infamous Matt, who I don't know how much he's been in the community, but when I sent him the DM saying he was welcomed at the Congress, I think he was equally excited and mostly baffled by what was occurring.
That sounds about right.
But hopefully he will be at the drinks. It'd be amazing if we can get him there. But we'll be announcing all that, the official time, and I look forward to catching up with you both in person, meeting you for the first time in person, Bryan, and catching up with Carl and the entire fantastic Backyard community later this year. Congratulations again on Hosts of the Year. Congratulations on having 4 fantastic seasons in this countdown. You now have 5. No one's even close to that, right? Like, obviously people have film seasons, in the can, ready to come out, but no one has produced 5 seasons in the period of time that you guys have. How have you done it?
We're insane.
Yeah, a lot of stress.
And, I look forward to your next season, whenever that may be. I know that's going to be absolutely epic, and I'm so excited to see it. But thank you for all the support you've given us over this countdown, appearing 4 times, being part of the production, being part of the show. This show wouldn't be what it was if the community and the different franchises weren't willing to engage with us. So thank you so much for being here, and the part we were able to participate with you with this, but also the part we participated with in Backyard 5.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, EK.
Thanks for having us.
Congrats again, host of the year. I don't think anyone could deny that. And again, well done in your representation of Australia in the awards. That is our coverage for Backyard 3 or 4, the 3rd best season. In a week or 2, we will start our coverage of the 2nd best season, Canberra Survivor: The Ultimate Sacrifice, which I'm excited to get into. But what I'm really excited to get into is in another month's time talking about myself on my own season. I really am just looking forward to that so significantly. So that's. Are
you going to go to the tea party?
I'll be on everything. Nah, I'll just be everywhere. I will do the recap, and I think that's actually going to be really fun because I was there, so I can provide little tidbits about things that were going as we're doing the episode by episode recap that isn't there on the footage, and I basically remember everything that's ever happened to me. So I have all the information. It's all here. It's everything that was there is there, and so I really look forward to that. But Canberra Ultimate Sacrifice is a brilliant season, and it's the age-old question. You guys tinkered with this a little bit, but really, if we gave everyone a bazillion advantages, would Survivor still work? And in our coverage, we will talk about all of that and the Ultimate Sacrifice, the twists and turns, the game. Mars, a fantastic winner, plays a dominant game. Looking forward to talking about all of that and more in the coming weeks. Thank you, Kyle and Bryan. Thank you to everyone that was part of our redemption coverage. Jules, Danny, Salvador, David, Holly, Chiara, Josh, Rachel, Casper, and of course the 2 of you. So brilliant to have all you part of our coverage. And thank you to everyone who has watched live, and of course all of you who watch after. We really appreciate the support you give our show. Till then.